My name is Hare Arnold. I'm a pre-sales engineer with Servercore. So today I'd like to take you guys through security. Actually, security in regards to DevOps and also cloud infrastructure. Yeah, so let's talk about security. I think security is something that should be built actually from the start, from day one, to any organization. And it's no longer a feature that should be added later, rather than something that should be embedded, I think, from the beginning. So in our digital landscape, actually our modern landscape, you find that we have, what do you call them? Ransomwares, data breaches, and also some security vulnerabilities. So I think for security, when it is actually embedded early in any organization, or if you implement it as an IT strategy, it actually tries to help you scale smart and also protect early in terms of your assets. So in today's theme, as we look at why security should be part of your IT strategy from day one. So we'll try to talk about protecting early, protecting your assets early, then scaling smart. Okay, let's move on to the next. Yeah, so about me, who is your speaker today? So I'll say I have three hats almost. One, infrastructure and automation engineer. And then we go transition to cloud and DevOps engineer, then transition to a pre-sales engineer. Why the three hats? Well, no, don't do that. Actually, the three hats. So in the three hats, we have more like 5 roles. So the first role is an infrastructure engineer, whereby it's more of like creating on-prem servers or cloud servers. Then you have an automation engineer, whereby you go about automating your toil tasks. Then I was actually privileged to be a cloud and DevOps engineer with one of our largest telco, whereby I was able to do migration of applications from monolithic to cloud native applications. Then I think I thought it's time for me to go to as a pre-sales engineer with Servercore, whereby I can try to move on business requirements and translate them to technical engineers to better understand that. So I was privileged to do more than 50 plus infrastructure related projects, whereby we did automation, we did infrastructure migration, security aspects. So in all these three hats, when as an infrastructure engineer, cloud of DevOps engineer, and pre-sales engineer, in all there's security embedded in it. And I'm happy to say that by the end of today, I hope I'll have at least transcended some information about security on that aspect. Next. Yeah, so I've mentioned Servercore, where I'm a pre-sales engineer. So who is Servercore? What is Servercore? So Servercore is more of an international IT infrastructure provider that provides infrastructure as a service and also platform as a service. And is also present in many regions. We have Europe, Asia, and currently you can see we are also in Kenya. So the major cities we have is Kenya, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. Let's go to next kindly. So you find this is what I was talking about in terms of the core solutions that Servercore offers. So Servercore offer infrastructure as a service, whereby we have cloud servers, which can help you scale in terms of your business. If you require instances, at least to run your application, or any kind of maybe project that you're doing. Then when you need performance and control, we have the bare metal servers. Now this gives you more high power in your organization or in terms of your infrastructure that you want. Then we have platform as a service, whereby we have the managed Kubernetes, we have the managed database. So these help in auto-scaling factors. So automatic updates, what Servercore does is that it tries to manage the updates and the updates of the versions of Kubernetes, and also for the database engines that we have, that is Redis, Postgres, MySQL, Timescale, Kafka, and we are still building more to onboard more database engines. Then we have data storage services, which you offer file storage and also backup services. So the backup, you can back up your VMs, do snapshots on them. And for file storages, you can integrate them with your cloud providers and have, I think, a better storage for any application you're running. Next. So in this list, we have a couple of businesses that have entrusted us with, have agreed on our quality, and also they have experienced first and I think best service that Servercore offers. So we have Alif and Tekras. I won't mention all of them, But these are some of them that have given us at least the trust, and also have experienced most of our security aspects that we implement in our infrastructure. Next. Yeah, so moving on, I think it was more of like the agenda, what you are going to talk about. So one, we have security access management, that is SAM. Then from that, we have automation. We are going to talk about automation and security when automation is embedded in it. Then we are going to talk about Servercore itself and what Servercore has done, especially to DevOps environment, how it has bring in solutions that have solved a couple of challenges that DevOps engineers and DevOps entities face. So our agenda is more of like the SAM, what I'm saying, security access management. Then we have security tools that we can use and also integrate in our day-to-day DevOps environments. And we have automation and compliance and also CI/CD. And also how Servercore's approach to solving challenges faced by especially DevOps teams. So to our foundation today, what you're talking about. So our problem statement is actually about security and what many organizations think about security. So many organizations think that security should be more like an afterthought. But I tend to disagree that and say that nowadays it is more of a proactive than reactive measure when you're dealing with incidents. So if you look at the consequences that lack of security can bring, one is data breaches. So with data breaches, this is having your data all over, everywhere, and for everyone. Then another thing is now, with the data breaches, what comes along is also reputational damage for an organization. If clients can't trust you enough for you to keep your data safe, then definitely your reputation is damaged. Then with that reputation damage, you probably, like in Kenya, we have some laws which will come to our third consequences, which is compliance fines. So that means the organization is not either meeting the compliance, and it's a hefty fine. I think in Kenya, if not less, it should be, is it 5 million, Robin? Yeah, so 5 million per organization. Then with that, if now you have no security at all, well, if I happen to be one of you, then I'll cause a business disruption to whatever you are running. So today, at least, I'd like to give more context about security on that aspect. On to our next slide. So this is security access management, whereby I'd like to say, what is security? So for some, I'd like to define it as 2 W's and a H. What do I mean by that? So for the 2 W's stand for the what and the when. Then the H stands for the how. For the who, that can mean you. It can mean an application, and it can mean anything that has access to your environment. Then, and to emphasize that SAM is not all about user login, but rather it's more about protecting your pipelines, cloud resources, and secrets. Then we come to, we have looked at security. So what are these core principles that we have for any access management, especially in DevOps? So the first principle is the principle of least privileges. So this is the principle whereby you only give someone or a user access to specific resource, what he needs to do, and only a specific task that can be done. Then on to our next is separation of duties. So separation of duties is more of like dividing the tasks into different sections of teams. This is to avoid, for example, if a disgruntled employee leaves that company, then you are not at any point hindered to do any of your tasks. Then we have zero trust model. The zero trust model is now whereby you need to authenticate, authorize, and verify at all times there is any kind of request. And we have the role-based access control and attribute-based access control. So the role-based is more permission, very simple. And attribute-based is more of like attributes to any request or access you're doing. Moving forward, we have the security tools. So in terms of security tools, we have quite a number. And also we have quite a number of stages. So if you look at the security tools, we have stage 1 called build, deploy, secrets, and monitor. So if you look at code, you have the SonarQube, which is more of just like a static code analysis. Then we have the build stage, whereby you have tools like Trivy and Jenkins. They help you in vulnerability scanning. Then deploy, we have Terraform, for provisioning resources, cloud resources, and Ansible for doing configuration management. So what they tend to do is to apply policy as code that has already been preset earlier. Then we have secrets, like the Servercore Secrets Manager. We have the Vault with a company called HashiCorp. So these, they provide more of a secret management security to that. Then we have to monitor. And for monitorization, we have authorization of logs with a tool like called Wazoo. Then Prometheus and Grafana, where Prometheus does the metrics, scraping of metrics, and Grafana more of the visualization of all your data, your actions, and whatever you do. Coming to what points in DevOps do you need to secure? So we have these areas. We have the cloud resources, we have the Git repositories, we have the CI/CD pipelines, we have the Kubernetes, which is the platform itself that helps you to scale. Then we have container images, whereby you're storing for these microservices. So the risk that comes with cloud resources is broad permissions, and the main mitigation is more of having identity access management policies, which are more fine-grained. Then for the token, I think for Git repositories, which are always open and access to everyone, I think the best to have, the risk we have is the token leakages and that open access model. So we need to do more of like signed commits to enforce security in this aspect. Then onto our third one is the CI/CD pipeline. So this is where we do our workflows, whereby we run our projects to deploy. So this kind of risk that come with CI/CD pipelines is mostly on secret exposure. And so what we do is now we advise use of vaults or use of ephemeral secrets. So ephemeral secrets are more of the secrets that are short-lived, and then you only use them once. Once that's done, it's expired. So you're no longer exposed if someone even gets, or an authorized person gets that usage. We have cluster hijack to platforms like Kubernetes. So we mainly recommend use of RBAC and also OPA policies. When it comes to container images, we more like recommend use of embedded secrets, which can be used, and also mitigation is like to scan these builds or use dynamic secrets. When it comes to essential tools to have for any organization, one, secrets management I've spoken earlier, then the identity access management, policy as code, and audit access logs. So more of just the tools that we talked on the earlier slide. Moving forward, we are going to talk about automation, compliance, and what CI/CD pipelines can really bring to any organization. So for the first, we have, DevOps moves quite fast. And I think we're all trying to keep up with new technologies and all that. But in terms of manual security checks, it really can't keep up with the fastness in which DevOps is moving. So what we try to do is that now we try to automate these processes. So for the toil tasks, we try to automate the process. And what automation does, one, it ensures that we have continuous enforcement of policies using tools like Terraform. We have faster detection and response of incidents using monitoring tools like Grafana, Prometheus. And we also try to reduce human error, especially when there's a new human aspect. Like you have just seen what was happening. Robin was calling it a demon, but I believe it's because of human intervention. Then when you come to compliance, for compliance, it's a common myth that everyone says that compliance slows us down. When you bring in security, they say it slows us down. But I like to say, in reality, that's not the case. When you use automation and then apply it to compliance, thus you get automated compliance. What it does, one, it improves faster audits and also reduces fewer surprises in terms of incidents. Coming to compliance, we've talked about compliance automation. So how do you embed compliance? Well, one is to define compliance as code. We have many benchmarks. We have the CIS benchmarks. We have the SOC 2 frameworks. And also we have the HIPAA for health institutions. So these compliances, if you try to follow these rules that have been brought with such frameworks, then you definitely have an organization or an ecosystem that is very much secure. In terms of tools, I like to say there are tools that continuously review this kind of security engagement. So we have tools like Chef Inspect by Chef. We have OpenSCAP, which is more of a standard. And also we have the Prisma Cloud, which is more of like a security posture management tool. So what it does is that it does the verification. It reviews your infrastructure, scans your infrastructure, then automates depending on the policies that have already been set. Then another one is to track our evidence, for example, in terms of logs. Looking at this, we have tools like Wazoo, tools like Falco, which will give you your traces from every request that you do. Next is more of like, how do we, threats that we have with pipeline and CI/CD security. So the threats we have like exposed secrets. So exposed secrets, as you're seeing when you're doing any workflows, they can be exposed and they can be man in the middle attacks. Then we have tampered artifacts that comes with Git repositories, and over permissive service accounts, which can be a headache to everyone once they get the right permissions. And also lack of audit trail is also another threat that we have. How do we secure this CI/CD pipeline? Well, one is to isolate pipeline environments. Let's have staging environment, let's have your CI/CD pipeline, let's have your prod environment in different infrastructure. Isolate them such that when your production is affected, you still have your CI/CD pipelines working, and you can always recover from that. Then ephemeral storage, ephemeral credentials with a short-lived credentials, and use of secret manager like the Servercore secret manager. Let's avoid plain text environmental variables. Challenges. So the challenges that are faced by DevOps, and they are all categorized into 4. So we try to see how we can solve these 4 categories. So one challenge first is trying to manage these secrets across multiple environments. For any DevOps environment, that is always a big problem. So one, what do we do? So Servercore brings to you the secret manager, whereby it comes with a lot of features like encryption, centralized, gives you a centralized repository for all your applications. Another thing is also automates certificate renewals using CS if you're using Let's Encrypt. And also instant password updates to your applications that you're running, and also action history. For example, you can know who did what at what time, and maybe with a certain log to know what was orchestrated and what really has been affected. The next is ensuring consistency in terms of applications, and also how to secure deployment across diverse environments. So here we bring about automation using managed Kubernetes, managed databases, and also Terraform, just to orchestrate the automatic deployment, bring about quick deployment, compatibility also with resources across the ecosystem, and also brings about high availability. Next, that's nice. So looking at another one, the next challenge is more of trying to ensure consistent and secure deployments across diverse environments. Oh, no. Next. Yes, so the next one is more of like trying to meet international standards. Well, Servercore meets all these global and local standards. So we are PCI DSS certified. We also meet all the HIPAA rules that have been in terms of health organization, and also in terms of financial organization. We provide more of 5-tier layered protection in terms of security, from our data centers to our applications to our networks, where we provide more of a 3-lane architecture. Then we have a 24/7 monitoring system for all our data center territories, and also trying to ensure that we have a physical security. Onto our last is scalability and cost. So the main challenge here is always scaling infrastructure efficiently and trying to optimize cost for any entity. So what does Servercore bring? So Servercore brings to you the cloud resources, that is the cloud servers, cloud databases, managed Kubernetes, and all these. We have, they come with features that you can really optimize your cost. Like, for example, you can freeze your instances such that you don't use it for a specific time, and you're only charged for maybe the IP address if it's a server, and for example, for the compute resources, you're not charged during the time you're frozen. So this, you try to at least optimize cost. If you're not using it at night, then you can freeze that instance. When it comes to managed Kubernetes, it allows auto-scaling. So you only use the resource that you need. Once that is done, then if you have more workloads, it can always scale. So it scales depending on your workloads. And moving to the next slide, I'm almost going to the end. So 1 more minute. So I like to say we have an affiliate program. So we try to, as Servercore grows, we also want to grow with the community. So we say, help us find new customers. as you help us find new customers, you also receive something back in return. That can be a 10% or a 15% gratuity. And that's the link for registration. And for this, I'd like to say thank you. And thank you very much.